Foreign entities can be a little problematic, of course, because we'll start off with, we'll talk about the language. I had an agreement a few years ago that was from the Netherlands and it was in Dutch. They,
And you speak Dutch?
not at all, not even a word. The PI did, thankfully, but no, they sent us an agreement in Dutch and I could look at the tables and I could do the conversion factor to US dollars. But it was really hard to review the agreement. So they provided us an English translated version, but the Dutch version was the prevailing document. So if there was any discrepancy in the translation, like say maybe you will do this or you can do this, then the Dutch version was the one that we had to go by. They also restricted us to courts in the European Union versus our courts. And so litigating a matter that if anything comes up, we always hope it doesn't, but if something did, litigating in a foreign country can be much more cost prohibitive. So we have to get the department and the department head to give us approval in writing that they will be willing to pay the extra litigation fees if we have to go over there. And so that was a little bit of an issue. There's the conversion factor. A lot of times these agreements are in foreign currency while we prefer them to be in US dollars, and we will try that in the agreement. It doesn't always work. And so if the conversion changes over time, we might end up short of funds. So that's something else you have to be aware of, is that as the money comes in, it may not be the same amount. It might have been originally budgeted for $100,000. And then due to currency fluctuations, we might only get 85,000. And so they're not beholden to increase the money if the agreement's in the foreign currency. So all of these things can make foreign entities a little bit riskier to work with, but we still work with them a lot. We have a question. Sure. Liza, what do you want? Liza's one of my people, so I can say.
Curious. We get department head approval based on, if there's a litigation location kind of thing. I get that. What is there things that we do during negotiations as far as getting approval for another account, another 5-3 account to account for any budget shortfall based on conversion of foreign currency? That's just
no. We just typically ask them to play it safe and to kind of try to hold a little bit of reserve until the end, and we see how we do, because there's nothing else we can do about it if we don't have the money coming in, because we agreed to do it in whatever dollars that they were providing. So we're kind of stuck in that situation. Now, that said, if we can get upfront money, if we can kind of front load it before currency could fluctuate a ton over a 5 or 7 or 10-year period, that would be good. And we'll be able to know as we go along for cost reimbursable, right? So we'll know if we're sending an invoice in for $15,000 and we're only getting 12,000 US dollars back. And in that case, we need to start being proactive in handling that. But typically it's just up to the department to trim some cost if they can.
Do we usually get a big hit, or it kind of washes out, if you will?
It can go both ways.
Okay.
It only typically pops up and is a concern though when we're on the negative side of that. So
absolutely.
We don't care when we're getting more.
Yeah, we don't care when we're getting more money. That's fine. When we get shorter money, it's an issue. And it doesn't happen a ton, but we have seen it happen. And so if we're working with a foreign entity, especially a foreign company, and we can front load those charges or get more money up front, so we know actually what it's going to really be, that's easier. But the Dutch example I have, I think, is at least 7 years. So who knows where we're going to end up in the end of this.
So when there's shorter periods of performance, do you try to get the money up front then versus cost reimbursable for, I can see that because of longer periods of performance.
Right. I mean, I typically would, or like I said, the first step is to try to get it into, this is the agreement for the money in US dollars. And it's very important because you want to put down US dollars. I think, does it come up later? We talked about that, but you want it in US dollars if we can. That's the first stage. And the second stage is maybe get the money up front in a lump sum.
Okay.
And even if they hold on to a retainer of like 10% for the end, that's fine, because that is less at risk. If it's only 10%, it could be at the mercy of currency fluctuations.
Thanks.
Okay,
But the other thing I wanted to mention is that Michael's talking about, these currency fluctuations. And if at the end we have a currency fluctuation because the award came in the foreign dollars or foreign money currency, not dollars, get that out of your head, the foreign currency, all of those are going to have to be covered by your department. These are not costs that are covered by any centralized pool. So the risk is on the units and is on the departments and units. And I found that out the hard way with an agreement with the Canadian sponsor. When we proposed what we just put in as dollars, instead of saying US dollars, when we went to go pay that final invoice, because it was like less than a year statement of work or work that we were doing. And we went to go put in that final invoice and we invoiced them and they sent it back to us in Canadian dollars, which most of Canadian dollars are probably around, 70 to 80 cents on the US dollar. So when they were questioned why they hadn't paid our entire invoice, they're like, well, we did. We paid you in Canadian dollars. So that excess, that 20% that we ended up with, we had to cover on department funds or on other funds that were, I think my PI at the time had a startup.
The currency calculator that I found online to show like, yeah, even if it's a little bit off, it's off. It's different.
no, this is just where it's really nice to go check RPS and see what's been received, so you can make sure we're matching up with what we're staying pretty good on track with the conversion.
Our last thoughts are governing law. Can we accept any? You said it was, if we had to go to litigation, it would be with
Could
the
be
EU.
Yeah, it could be in their
Some
courts.
states we can't even accept.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's one thing if we have to go up to Cheyenne to go to court. It's another thing if we have to go over to Prague or to London. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen any we haven't been able to accept, but then of course, we're also mainly dealing with countries that we work with a decent amount anyway. And so we just try not to, or we stay silent on law. So if they want to sue us, they have to come over here. And then we will know if we want to go to litigate something in their courts. We already understand it. It's going to cost more. And that way we can make the decision whether it's worth it or not to pursue litigation in their court.
And can we work with every country out there?
No, I mean, obviously there's some countries that we cannot work with. So if your PI is trying to work with somebody that we're banned from working with, let's just avoid that situation and not try that.
And if they're high risk, we have secure and global research that we partner with.
Well, I'm pretty sure, and guys, it's been a few years, but if we're working with certain foreign companies, et cetera, I think everything has to be vetted through SGR to begin with.
Yeah.
And at the pre-award stage. So if there's anything that's kind of risky, it has to get sign off at export control, which is also another really good reason why we need to have all of these done ahead of time and done in the proper order, as opposed to just ending up with an award or having anyone just say, hey, we're going to do this. Because we have to look at those, especially if there's somebody risky.
Okay, this is literally a signature screen clip from an award document that I saw many years ago. It's like they Frankensteined it together because it's all these different fonts and they're asking for everyone under the sun to sign it.
I'm still not sure who signs which blank necessarily because there's
Yeah.
two recipients. But yeah, we'll see some of these things.
If it asks for a PI to sign, for instance, do they really need to? We want to protect our PIs, or our research teams, our sponsor program. So making sure that the right people are signing or getting maybe even a signature on here, like an NA. That one doesn't matter. Let's take it out. The only time I had a PI actually sign off on something was when they had to do field work in a national park. Otherwise, the university is the one signing off to protect the university and our teams.
Yeah, all signatures should go through OSP for the most part. I mean, obviously there's some other people in the university that can sign, but the PI should not be trying to sign agreements. Unless, like you said, there's an occasional agreement with an extra blank for the PI to sign, depending on what they're doing, if they have certain confidentiality or HIPAA stuff, but nearly everything goes through OSP.
Well, another example we talked about earlier was on signatures, and a little bit different, is that sometimes in particular, these foreign entities might require a signature from somebody that we don't necessarily normally have sign our agreements, or they may need wet signatures. They may need a stamp. We've had someone who wanted a stamp that we had to go to the provost office or to the president's office to get once, because they have very different rules about how things are bound. So that can also cause, obviously, delays at the award stage.
When you have to send back wet signatures and triplicate and have them notarized, it's a little bit more work to get those done.
Yeah, the weirdest one was the stamp. And we didn't even know we had one at the university and found out that, yes, apparently CSU does have a stamp, an actual stamp, but it's at the president's office. And it needed that in order to be bound. I think it was an African country that was requiring it. So just remember risk also with these type of entities.
The little ones on that foreign card.
If you would like to check out the full webinar series on wildcard characteristics of working with non-federal funding, check out these links in the CSU Office of Sponsored Programs channel.